Hey there Druids, and welcome back to another video. A video that is unlike anything else that I've done on my channel so far, because unlike the other ones where it's a combination of gameplay with me and my friends and some comedy stuff going on, this solely relies on me and my voiceover and articulation. So pardon me if this might seem a little bit wonky at points. I can already see myself, and I've already done it 3 or 4 times in this intro alone, stopping my recording and cutting it and restarting because there's this weird thing in my brain that wants me to restart if I mess up a word or a syllable, even though that's bound to happen with this free-flowing type of voiceovers that I do. Because a little insight, I don't script, I do bullet points. I think when I script, I sound more like a machine than I do an actual person. So that invites a lot of mess ups and a lot of stumbling over words and whatnot. But anyway, let's dive into the video because I'm looking forward to talking about this, and I can already see the giant can of worms and arguments that I'm going to be starting in the comments with this one. But anyway, let's dive in. So first things first, if you read the title of this video, you already know we're going to be talking about Arena Breakout Infinite in comparison to Escape from Tarkov. Now, having these two games in the same conversation with each other invites a lot of flame, and there's this predominant theory that Arena Breakout Infinite and the game studio behind it has paid a lot of content creators and streamers to talk good about the game to boost its ratings in order to get out there and compete. I really don't know if this is true or not. I haven't done my own research on it, so I don't have my own opinion. My gut tells me it's false, but again, I haven't really researched that on my own. But just want to clear the waters now. This is not a paid sponsor for Arena Breakout Infinite. I have absolutely no ties to the studio whatsoever. They have not reached out. I made this video purely because I was interested in the topic I will be talking about today. It is purely based on my own unique opinion and perspective on extraction shooters and Tarkov, and now ABI. I will just add as a little footnote that I will be submitting this video to the current content creator challenge that ABI started in celebration of season 1, and that again doesn't have an influence on anything I'm saying here today because the way that is being judged is purely based off of views. So again, this is not a paid sponsor for ABI. While my experience with Escape from Tarkov is pretty well known on my channel, my experience with Arena Breakout Infinite is not well known. It's not known at all because I really play it offline, and I've recently been streaming it because I've been really addicted to the game, especially season 1. But I came into Arena Breakout Infinite, or more commonly ABI, you'll hear me say to save time, towards the middle of the beta test, also called Season 0, and a little bit towards the end. Quite frankly, guys, I really hated the game during Season 0 for a variety of reasons. One, the economy felt really weird. I didn't like the mobile elements attached to it. At the time, it felt like it was going to be way too hard to get money, and they were going to be very hostile with the marketing to get you to spend real money to get in-game money. And honestly, the PvP irked me to the ends of the earth because it is a more casual extraction shooter, which you'll hear me say over and over throughout this entire video. There is no inertia like you have in Tarkov, so there is common jump shotting and slight abuse of the movement tech that's in the game. And you'll hear me say that a lot too, because jump shotting is just a pet peeve of mine. But that really turned me away from the game. I didn't think I was ever going to come back because I just thought it was going to be way too monetized and force you to spend money, and I thought there was going to be this dissidence and this separation between people who are free to play only and people who pay to get things like the secure containers, because that was another issue at the time. All the secure containers were pretty much you had to pay to get access to, which really sucked. But like I said, I never thought I would come back to the game or actually enjoy it. Fast forward a few months, we go through a Tarkov wipe, we get to the middle towards the end of the Tarkov wipe, and I'm just very sick of fighting level 80s with 10,000 hours in the game. I jump ship and I just stick with PvE. I look at Arena Breakout Infinite because I want that thrill with PvP without it being ridiculously sweaty. So I mosey my way back over to their website, re-down the launcher, and I play the end of Season 0 because there was only a few days left before it went Season 1 and I believe full access to the public. And they made a lot of changes that quite frankly got me addicted to the game. The economy felt better, the PvP felt better, and all the gripes that I had during the closed beta test felt like they actually worked on it and they listened to the feedback that they received. So I've been playing Arena Breakout Infinite very heavily over about the last month or so, and I have a few weeks of playtime in Season 0, so I'm relatively still green, but I am max level, and I I believe, I'm not looking at my game right now, but I believe I'm master or expert. It's one of the top 3 ranks. I think expert 4 or something like that. So I have a lot of playtime that I dumped into the game, and I've played every map. I've messed around with the various guns. I've engaged with the quests and the various systems and the rewards on offer. So I feel like I'm at a pretty strong spot where I can talk about this stuff and really compare these 2 games and analyze the features that ABI has that Tarkov could benefit from, even though I know it's a stretch to say that because ABI is unbelievably casual, whereas Tarkov is unnecessarily hardcore. But it's a really fun conversation and thought experiment to think of, to kind of imagine what Tarkov would be like with a Killcam, what Tarkov would be like with an after-action report that's visual instead of it just being numbers with labels, and finally, what Tarkov would be like with an anti-cheat that actually works.
I'll have to ask my accountant about that.
But anyway, with all that aside, because we'll get to it shortly, that is my recount of my experience currently with ABI. There's one more note I just want to throw in here before we get into the bones of this video, and the reason why this kind of comparison was spawned outside of looking at features that Tarkov can have is just the problem of Tarkov's player base and their view on casual players and accessible features. The word accessible features is like kryptonite to the Tarkov Chad. It is quite astounding to see how they shrivel up and hide in a dark corner when they're forced with this idea of accessibility, because without accessibility, you don't have a game, because no one's going to want to play it. Like, I know Tarkov spawned off the idea of this is a hard game, and that's where it got its audience, but it's to the point where you have to like do it as your job if you want to have fun with the game. There is no casual playing field in Tarkov. These other extract shooters that are coming out are competing with Tarkov and leveraging this fact that it is casual. And God forbid anybody competes with Tarkov. The amount of toxicity that this game gets and other extraction shooters get because they're competing with the granddaddy of the genre, it's kind of sad. So this video is gonna try to spawn this hopefully more positive trend of having a conversation about these extraction shooters, because believe it or not, competition benefits everybody in the market, and we need more competition for these games to be good. So that's what I kind of want to foster here. I want to foster and hope that we get to see more healthy and positive competition between studios. Anyway, holy crap, it's almost 10 minutes into my voiceover here, and we haven't even started to talk about the main objective of this video. So anyway, if you want to see me dog on the hardcore players and the no-life chads of Tarkov, go ahead and check out my Escape from Tarkov zombie video. There's like a 6-minute rant somewhere at the end there when I actually have my review, and quite frankly, I go back and listen to that. I was like, man, I was kind of mad when I was recording that voiceover. Okay, are you ready? Here's my amazing transition sentence to actually get into the main purpose of this video, 10 minutes into the recording. ABI has features that Tarkov could subjectively implement for its own benefit. Let's talk about it. The next feature that I really want to talk about, and I don't even want to say feature, I should be saying industry standard, but unfortunately it's not, is the fact that Arena Breakout Infinite has a functional anti-cheat that rewards successful reports and bans. And the anti-cheat that Arena Breakout Infinite uses is the ACE system, or the anti-cheat expert system. And I wish I wasn't sitting here and saying, man, I really wish Tarkov had a anti-cheat that works, or at least one that we know of, because they don't really talk about it over there at BSG at all. Matter of fact, there was a few really good moments in the Pestily interview, like I think a year ago now, where Nikita gave a blanket explanation saying that hacking and dealing with the hackers in Tarkov is a lot more complex than we, the consumers, understand. And I personally think we're way beyond using that as a blanket explanation when Tarkov is arguably the most hacked game in existence, when this type of game really needs to be on their game with that type of security, because the time investment and sometimes the money investment that you're losing to these people. And there are a lot of really fantastic video essays explaining this concept a lot better than I could, who they've done countless hours of research, actually getting into the hacking community of Tarkov and seeing what's going on and getting statistics of how many hackers there are in every raid. And I'll leave those up to those videos if you want to check them out. Check out videos such as like the wiggle that killed Tarkov and other ones. They're really great, and it really gives you a scary look into what's going on, because most raids that you play in have hacker in it. So again, I really wish I wasn't sitting here saying I wish Tarkov had an anti-cheat like Arena Breakout Infinite, but ABI actually compensates you if you die to a hacker that you report and they get successfully banned after their investigation. And that really just makes the game feel more approachable. Outside of it being casual, it feels like the game respects your time, because Tarkov doesn't feel like it respects your time at all. That's what EFT feels like. But at least with a functional anti-cheat, you can go into Arena Breakout Infinite with confidence, knowing that if you do die to a cheater, and you do watch that Killcam, which we'll talk about next, and you do report them, and they were in fact cheating, you'll get your stuff back. It just feels like a better and safer environment for the player base. Another feature that is heavily argued for in the Tarkov community that Arena Breakout Infinite has, and that Tarkov would benefit if it ever could implement such a feature, is a Killcam. Now, a few weeks ago, I was very adamant in the fact that there is no excuse for the reason why Tarkov doesn't have a Killcam. It should be really easy to implement if a free-to-play game is able to implement it. And my colleague and friend, who is a back-end and full-stack developer, sat me down and gave me really good information on the fact that implementing a Killcam in the Escape from Tarkov ecosystem would actually be a lot harder than it seems. He also agreed that there is no excuse for having no anti-cheat at all, which would be significantly easier to implement. So once he kind of told me that and brought into my perspective a little bit, I took a step back and I took a deep breath, and I became significantly less adamant that Tarkov should have a Killcam, because how are we going to expect them to develop a Killcam if they can't implement a basic anti-cheat system that works? And the benefit of Arena Breakout Infinite having this Killcam is when you die, you don't just fall over and die with little to no information. You're not left with a table and columns of numbers and that's all you get to learn from. You can watch how you died, because it records 20 seconds just about of footage before you got killed. So if you got killed by a better ranked player per se, you can see how a better player might have approached the situation that you found yourself in. It allows you to learn and adapt and get to see what to do and what not to do. It's not like in Tarkov when you're walking around on interchange and you don't even hear a shot, you just fall over and die. How do you learn from that? Because you don't get to see where they killed you from, so you can't say, oh, I don't want to walk that way because I'll die. There's a lot of areas in Tarkov that you can make that generalization from, like going to Emercom. I never want to go to Emercom if I have to, because the amount of people that snipe that field. Fucking Emercom. But I only know that because that's taught through environmental details, not through a Killcam where I can see and learn these angles that people commonly hold to better my chances at surviving and countering them. And this is also a fantastic tool for a solo player like me, because I can see where I'm bumping into teams constantly and I can see their tactics. And unfortunately, a lot of the Arena Breakout Infinite tactics revolves jump shotting every corner. Yep, we just bring so many grenades in every raid.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg.
Again, I have a problem with the limited inertia and the fact that people can abuse that, but at least I can learn from my mistakes every game, and it motivates me to keep playing. It motivates me to keep going through the ranking system. Isn't it kind of amazing what a simple feature like a Killcam can do for the mental aspect of this type of game? I don't fear dying that much because I can take every death and structure it like this is a learning experience, because I can see what I did wrong. Just yesterday, I was in Motel on Farm, where all of the players like to go in Arena Breakout Infinite to get loot, especially on the lockdown zone or higher, which we'll talk about in matchmaking, and I bumped into another player. So I fought for a little bit, and I repositioned, and I thought I was safe, and then I got instantly killed from somewheres I didn't know existed. I'm like, huh, how did that happen? So I watched the kill cam. A matter of fact, there's an angle that you can get on me if you jumped on a crate outside of one of the windows, and you can see perfectly where my head was. I never would have known that if there wasn't a kill cam. I would have kept going to that spot and probably dying the same way. And that's stuff you never would have learned if you didn't watch how you die. There are so many instances that I can think of in my own playtime alone that Tarkov would benefit from having a kill cam. In particular on Reserve, because that is the only map that I still really don't understand how I keep dying on, because pretty much every building you can get into and onto the roof, and every time I go on that map, I literally just fall over and die. Now, if I had a kill cam, I would be able to see these crazy angles people are holding, so I can learn how to navigate the map a little bit safer instead of dying constantly to a Chad with a spear and thermal and top tier penning ammo. It's all about improving, right? Tarkov, Arena Breakout, Gray Zone, all these hardcore extraction shooters are about improving and getting better. Having a tool that shows you where you messed up is a great way to help you get better faster. And you won't have to make the game your job in order to get good at it. You can just learn from every death, and it might even be a more positive experience. And I think that really constitutes to why I am more drawn to Arena Breakout Infinite instead of Tarkov the last few weeks, because I don't feel like I'm punished for playing. Killcam is just a really amazing addition to any extraction shooter, really. One final note on kill cams before we move on, because I already see this becoming a very heated debate point, and that is simply, how is it fair to have access to a kill cam in duos, trios, or quads? What if your teammate dies really early and they watch the kill cam and give that intel to the rest of their team? And my response to that is simply, the kill cam is locked for a good duration, so you can't watch it right away and give your team information. It's like a minute or a few seconds. It's long enough for the information that you would see to be diluted heavily unless the person who killed you is just sitting there, which if they are just sitting there, that's on them. So the kill cam is locked for a little bit, so you can't just give perfect intel to your team. Since we already talked a lot about the kill cam, this is going to seem very similar because they kind of work in the same vein of each other. And that is, Arena Breakout Infinite has a after action visualization report and a very good combat report that is also visual, that challenges Tarkov's notion of a combat report that is just columns, numbers, and lists that tell you how much damage you put out, how much armor stopped the damage, so on and so forth. To kind of break this up into two parts, we'll look at after raid visualization first. And really simply, all this is it gives you the map and it traces your movement around the map with a visual line, kind of similar to how Zelda has the hero's journey thing where it follows you around everywhere you go. That's what this is like, but every raid. It tells you what you did, where you did it, and what time you did it. So if I went into, say, farm and went to the stables about 20 minutes into the raid, it would make a little note of that says entered farm and stayed there for X amount of seconds. If I found something really good there, maybe like some jewelry or something that's worth a lot of money, it would also notate that and say looted X item. If you got into combat, it would say firefight, and if you managed to kill another player, it will tell you when you did it and how you did it and give their username. And this is fantastic, this after raid visualization, because just like how a kill cam allows you to get better quicker and allows you to learn from your mistakes, this also helps you learn from your game time. It tells you where you went and what you did, and if you die, it will tell you where you died and where the guy killed you from. So you can kind of learn routes, you can learn where loot is, and it really significantly decreases that learning curve to make the barrier to entry significantly lower. And this is good for the casual audience that this game is catering to. This might not be something, if you're a hardcore Tarkov fan, that you would want, because you really want a Mount Everest learning curve, and I understand that. But there is a casual audience growing in this genre, and that is undeniable with the amount of games that are coming out in this space and the amount of attention they're getting. So ABI is capitalizing on this casual audience and just making the learning curve easier with this after raid visualization. It's pretty cool, and it's actually quite enjoyable, and it makes dying again feel less stupid. It feels like more of a learning experience because you can see what you did again. It's not just giving you numbers you don't really know how to read or pay attention to at all. Because honestly, how many times are you paying attention if you play Tarkov to the after raid report? If you survive, if you die, where it tells you the value looted and all that shit, how often are you really paying attention to that? But I can tell you, I look at everything in the after raid visualization on ABI because I kind of want to. It's actually presenting that information in a valuable and meaningful way. Now, really quickly, I mentioned the combat report. Now, simply put, this is just a 3D skeleton view of your body. It gives you pinpoint spots of where you were actually hit, what bullet killed you, where it killed you, so on and so forth. Again, this is really great because it's presenting data in a meaningful way instead of a confusing way, so you're more likely to actually take it and learn. All right, we're done with kind of out of raid systems. We're gonna be looking at some stuff that actually affects your day-to-day gameplay. And the first one quite literally still blows my mind and makes me wonder why this wasn't implemented in Tarkov to begin with, because it doesn't affect the realism. It is just such an amazing quality of life addition and feature that is just, it's like a chef kiss. It really is. And that is in Arena Breakout Infinite, there is in-raid market value of items shown by simply inspecting or hovering over it in your inventory. There's no need to become an economist of the Escape from Tarkov economy. You can just pick something up, look at it in your inventory, and it tells you in real time the value of that item on the market based on the market fluctuations. So I can walk into a building, loot some computers, and happen across, I don't know, a heat sink, and it's worth 2,000 or 5,000. I can open up a computer, come across a CPU, 10,000, or maybe a GPU, 70,000 and upwards, and it tells me that. So I can prioritize if I want to grab that or leave it there. So I don't have the situation that I have every raid in Tarkov where I go into green room on customs, for example, open up the computers or loot anything. I'm sorry, I don't have every item value in my head. I don't think any normal person does. So I don't remember what a spark plug is worth halfway through the wipe. So I don't have to play this game and learn this unspoken rule that I think is really stupid of item value per inventory slot that everyone on Tarkov kind of learns. That isn't a realistic feature, that's a burden, and it ruins the gameplay experience. So this in Arena Breakout Infinite just makes the game flow so much better. So you don't have to know everything to actually make money in the game. We're actually almost done. There's only a few more. And this one gets me just as excited, even though I know this is something that Tarkov would never be able to do because that would really butcher the realistic elements, but we're going to talk about it anyway because it's still really nice and it's a feature ABI has that other extraction shooters could take notes from, not just Tarkov. And that is the ability to click on a condition-based extraction on the map's armory or TV station, and it shows you where you have to go and what you have to do. And what I mean by that is when you pull up your map, because you have access to a map whenever you want in this game, you can click the yellow or orange exclamation points, which are your conditional-based extractions, and once you do that, a little line will appear on the map that goes directly to the room you have to go to and on what floor in some cases, which will guide you to the button you have to press, which will then activate that extraction. It's really an awesome learning tool, as all these other things are. And again, this one I know is really hard to argue for EFT because there would have to be a map implemented, but it's still really awesome. And it got me really hype on stream when I did that because I was expecting there to be no aid at all. And TV Station, if you played it, it's a really confusing map and it's filled with Raider AI and a lot of players. So knowing where to go without wasting your time and increasing the chances of you bumping into people is pretty awesome. Outside of that, there's also a little text blurb under all the conditional extractions that tells you what you have to do. So if you're on farm, which don't really have normal conditional extractions where you have to go press a button, but maybe you need to pay some currency, and the little text blurb under that will tell you how much you need to pay and what time the exit opens, because most of them open 10 minutes after the raid start. Just a little note on something that I find pretty interesting that I haven't seen any other game in the genre do, that I kind of bumped into on stream and got me pretty excited. It was cool. It was a that's cool moment that I just wanted to kind of throw in here. Matchmaking. Does that word horrify you or excite you? If you play Tarkov, it either horrifies you or you want it, because there is no matchmaking in Tarkov. You're thrown in there and you're told good luck, buddy. You get a slap on the back from Jaeger, slap on the ass from Prepor, maybe a little cheek kiss from Therapist, and you go out there and you're probably fighting level 80s with more than 10,000 hours on the first week of the wipe. That's never fun, right? But you know what is fun? Pseudo matchmaking, because bridging the line between full-on matchmaking and pseudo matchmaking can become really gray, but being able to pick what you want to deal with is really awesome, and that's what Arena Breakout Infinite lets you do. There is what I call a pseudo matchmaking in what they call the lockdown zone or forbidden zone. Now what are these? Well, you have 3 types of game modes you can pick from. You have your normal, where you can load into any of the maps and have absolutely no restrictions, and then you move up to Lockdown Zone, which requires you to pay $20,000 to launch into the queue and also have $100,000 worth of value on you in equipment. And then you have Forbidden Zone, which ramps that up even more. And what this does is it segments players based off of their comfortability level. So if you're new to the game and you don't want to deal with any of that stuff, you just go right into normal. Matter of fact, you don't unlock Lockdown or Forbidden Zone until you level up more. Level cap is currently 30, but it allows you to pick and choose the bullshit you want to deal with. So if I wake up early on Monday morning, or it's Monday night after work, and I just want to play an extraction shooter and have some fun, I'm going to go on normal, because most of the time, everyone is just playing for fun. You might run into some newer players there. You won't run into the constant chads. But if it's Saturday, I'm feeling like I got the skill, I'm feeling in the mood, I'm feeling confident in myself, I'll go over there to Lockdown Zone where I'm going to run into chads most of the time and the fights are going to be really intense. Now, if I'm a masochist and I feel like I'm just like God incarnate, I'll go into the Forbidden Zone where I'm going to run into like level 5 armor and level 5 everything big boys. And those are going to be very scary fights. And also, this segments the loot. Normal mode raids can have the chance of having some pretty good stuff. One of my followers in the server posted a picture of him finding an item that's worth 1.6 million in a normal raid behind a locked door. But in general, loot on the normal raids are going to be very nothing really astounding. But you go to Lockdown, the AI is harder, you're likely to find better things, so on and so forth. When you go to Forbidden Zone, they're even harder, bosses are more common, you're likely to find really good things. And I believe bosses only spawn in Lockdown and up, and in maybe the special event game modes they create here and there. But this is awesome because it really allows you to narrow your focus on what you want to do. Do you want to find more loot that's worth more and probably fight? Then go on those higher ones. If you just want to warm up and have some fun, stay in normal. It's not fully matchmaking, but it is kind of, hence the name I gave it, pseudo matchmaking. It's not a normal matchmaking system, but it segments players where it feels like one. All right, we only got a few more things and they're gonna be quick because these are not really as impactful as the ones I've already mentioned. But this one I should have really put with Killcam, but my silly little brain decided to put it all the way at the bottom here, far away from when we talked about the Killcam. And that is a spectator cam if you die early. So if you get wiped out, you'll watch your Killcam or skip it, and then you're going to be thrown into spectator so you can watch your friends play, so you don't have this situation where you're dead and your friend has to stop what he's doing, use up bandwidth and RAM and system resources to start a Discord screen share so we can see what's going on. The game just automatically supports a spectator camera, which is pretty dope. And this would be really hard to do again, like what I talked about before. If they can't implement the Killcam, EFT is definitely not having a spectator cam. That would probably cause more server issues for them to cache that information. But just something to bring up, worth mention, pretty neat. No need to sit there and spam my Discord hotkey and hope that it turns on before I get killed too, so my friend can help me a little bit. Next up here, this is arguably a realistic feature that should be in Tarkov because it's something that would happen in real life, unless you get shot in the head, that is. But when you're downed in a team in API, you go into a downed state where you can crawl around similar to like so many games out there. You don't instantly die, but you kind of instantly die in Tarkov when you're killed. You don't really have a second chance for your teammates to drag you, move you out of the way, and get you back up. Notably, Delta Force is doing this in their extraction shooter game mode, and Arena Breakout Infinite also does. So this is something I can maybe see Nikita and BSG doing because arguably this is a realistic feature. Military personnel drag their wounded out of the way all the time to get them medical support or try to field triage them and get them back into the fight. All of the stuff we kind of talked to today fall into two distinct categories. Category 1 are features and systems that could realistically be implemented in EFT. Either they be a quality of life improvement, like seeing the value of items in a raid, or a new functionality like being able to drag your teammates away and heal them. The other category are things that aren't going to be added because they pose too much of a systematic or technical challenge for BSG, and that is Killcam and after raid visualizations perhaps. But either way, there are a lot of things in these other extraction shooters that Nikita and BSG could really look at and learn from and make informed business decisions about things they can do to their game moving forward. I'm not saying everything should be in Tarkov because we want it in Tarkov, because there's obviously things that would ruin the experience, but there are golden nuggets in this expanding genre of the extraction shooter that I think BSG could maybe look at with a more critical lens and morph and adapt it to fit in their game to make their game better. Because as much as I dog on Tarkov over my last few videos and the amount of times I might sound angry and that I might sound like I hate the game, I actually really love Tarkov. It is still my favorite extraction shooter, and it always will be. I just want the game to be the best that it can be, and there are so many issues plaguing it that other extraction shooters solve by making small systematic changes to their gameplay that Tarkov would benefit greatly from. But as time goes on, I really hope the conversations between different extraction shooters change from how dare you compete with Tarkov or how dare you make a clone of Tarkov to something that's a little bit more constructive to benefit everybody. Because as I said in the beginning of the video and a few times, healthy competition benefits everybody, the communities and the developers, because better products come from competition. I would also love to play Tarkov 1.0 and like extract from the game and leave Tarkov before World War III starts. Please, thank you. That would be kind of fantastic because we're running out of time. Or it feels like we're running out of time. If you watch any of the news, it's very fucking grim 24/7. So hopefully we get to see a finished game. And hopefully the extraction shooter space blossoms into something amazing. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this little experiment. I never did a video like this, a straight up commentary voiceover video. Felt a little bit like a video essay at some points, but thank you so much for sticking through it. Thanks so much for supporting me in this hobby that I love doing, that I'm trying to put more time and passion and love into. If you want to see me live on Twitch, you like this stuff, you want to see it happen in the moment, go check out twitch.tv/ember_loom. We have a great time over there, a bunch of wacky redeems you can use, and if you like this content and if you're new to the channel, feel free to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I really read every single comment left as it helps me get better at making future videos, so if you have any constructive feedback you want to share, love to hear from you. But thank you again so much, everybody, and I'll see you later.